You right now sitting on the couch with your Cheetos and your cheesy puffs.
Yeah.
Can you do a pull-up? No? It's time to get up, son.
All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Steady Focused. Guys, I got to say, of all the interviews and episodes I've done, I'm probably the most relaxed for this one. I'm excited. I got probably one of my favorite people that I regularly talk to, Mr. Ryan Graves. He's on the show with us today. Several things are awesome about Ryan. One, he's the director of patient experience at United Regional, where we both work. He's a blue belt in Brazilian Jujitsu. If you guys know anything, you know it's very difficult to move up in belts. He's a big guy like myself. So one of the things we commonly talk about is, food, our struggle with weight. He loves to lift weights as well. He used to own his own gym. He's an RN. RN? Are you? Yeah, he's an RN. And P.S., he's a preacher. So, guys, I'm just really excited for this episode. So let's just get into it. We're going to kind of, hopefully, my plan is you guys are kind of like a fly on the wall for what Ryan and I do several times a week. But anyway, help me give a big, steady, focused welcome to my friend, Mr. Ryan Graves.
Thanks, brother. It's good to be here, man. This place is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, what do you think?
It's awesome. Super cool vibe. Super cool. I love it. Makes me feel more intelligent already.
Oh, yeah?
Just walking in the door. Yeah.
Well, I've got, earlier today we went over a list of like things we want to talk about and get into, but let's just kind of talk about what we normally kind of do. I'd say, hey, how's your journey going?
Yeah.
You know?
That's such a cool thing that you say. And you said several very kind things. So thank you for that. And, you said I'm one of your favorite people to talk to. Mm-hmm. Let me just say a wholehearted ditto to that. I love swinging by and just checking in with Simeon. We know each other maybe 2 years, not even probably.
A year and a half.
Yeah. And, we had a great connection right off the bat. Just loved your energy, your passion for life. And so we had a great connection, had a lot of stuff in common too. So, man, I love getting to swing by and just visit with you. So that's cool. Man, and that's a cool thing. It's something you always ask me. And every time I see you, you've always got positive things to say, but you say things like, hey, how's your journey? That's really cool. That's a cool way to start a conversation. I love it. Because your journey is you're on a quest to get to 225 pounds. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And previously you've been 300. What was it? How long ago were you 300 pounds? Man, it was end of 2016. I had a lot going on, got sick, and kind of realized like, hey, for the first time in my life, I realized I'm really unhealthy. I actually had a couple people give me some real talk, some tough love, and go, "Hey, you're not healthy." And I was kind of in denial about that, and you just don't. You slowly. Again, I've always been healthy, naturally stayed pretty average, healthy, whatever, and stepped on the scale January when most people probably step on the scale is January 1. Okay. Yeah. 2017, I stepped on the scale and it showed 300 pounds. And I'll tell you, when I got married 12 years ago, I was 190, graduated high school, probably 180, 190, somewhere around that. It's kind of my natural place I live. Majority of my adult life was 190. And so in a couple of years to go from 190 to 300, it's just like, wow, that was the moment it clicked for me is, okay, you got to do something. You're in your early 30s. You got wife and kids that need you and other people. We talk about this a good bit, but I wanted to be there for other people, be there for my family, be there for my church and my friends, and realize, man, this is not going well, and I got to make some major changes.
And that was for me. I was 300 pounds or knocking on the door of 300 not very long ago, and like we've both said it when we've talking to each other, you don't realize what it's, I had no idea I looked like that. Right. But, I've got that big picture of myself printed out that I look at regularly. And in my head, I was doing a selfie, when I was after the divorce and I'm dating, kind of going through this. And I remember in my mind, when I took this picture, I was like, you're looking pretty good. And then I look at it now and I'm just like, dude, man, you were suffering, man. You were
struggles, real.
Simeon, you had it going on, but
no, we're so good, and this could apply to way more than just health and fitness. But as humans, we're really good at self-deception. At least I am.
Totally.
and so we can, especially guys, and guys are worse at it, I think, in certain realms. But we look in the mirror and you can kind of turn in the mirror and stand just right and suck in and all the angles right. And you're like, I don't look so bad. And but then you see a picture somebody tags you in or something. That's when you kind of get an idea. But it's like, oh, that's just a picture, And but looking back now, it's like, well, and I'm not even, I'm nowhere near where I want to be. But looking back on it, you're right. And I don't know. I'll send you. You've seen some of them, but I've got some pictures. Yeah. Kind of like you showed me your pictures, and it's pretty crazy. But I'm right at 70 pounds. So 68, 69 pounds. So
down.
Down. Yep. I'm calling it 70. About 5 or 6 more to go to kind of hit my original goal I set for myself 2 years ago. Was I want to get to 225 and see from there what next. If I'm if I feel good there, if I'm healthy there, then we'll see what's next. But I'm almost there. It's, slowly but surely chipping away at it. And
it's dang, man. It was like. It's when I guess there's 2 sides to it, or multiple sides, but there's the side of, because I struggle with eating, that's one of my things. And so then, watching the weight get down to like 243 for me, and I was like, man, feeling good. And even at that weight, not realizing how good I was doing. Mm-hmm. Now, my weight's gone up to about 258. And thankfully, I don't have that thought today. Like, I'm back on the path, like we talk about. But, there's about 2 months that I'm just going through that phase again. I've lost faith in myself. I can't get back on the path. Oh, my gosh. And I remember before I got off the path, I was saying, I would say it, this is going to be something I got to keep my eye on for the rest of my life. But almost in the back of my mind, I was thinking, dude, you got, it's over, and I let my foot off the gas and then I remember thinking, it's not that big of a deal. I'm just going to, bulk up a little bit, and this and that, but it's hard. Yeah. It's so, golly.
I'm glad you said that, because I said something a while ago, and as soon as I said it, I was like, I need to retract that. Well, I think I said I'm almost there. Well, when we were talking, I said, "Hey, I'm 6 pounds from my goal. I'm almost there." That's a really wrong thing for me to say I'm almost there, right? Because I'm not almost there. I'm almost to hit one goal, the first goal. But I'm never there, because the second I think, hey, I'm there, I can just do whatever. It's not going to work. And again, I love health and fitness, nutrition, for a lot of reasons, but one of the big ones is I just think that it parallels life in general so well. And this is one of those areas. It's like I can never think I've arrived. I can never just go, hey, I got it, I'm good, I'm done. Because the second I start thinking that, what the Bible says, you're getting ready for a fall, right? If you start getting prideful, you start thinking I got it, you start thinking I got it all figured out. That's when you're going to trip up, you're going to fall. Life will humble you, right? And so, what the mistake I've made so many times, anytime I tried to lose weight in the past, or just to get healthy in general, not necessarily weight loss, just health in general. It was on the bandwagon, off the bandwagon, on off, on the path, on the bus, whatever you want to call it. And it was until I started looking at it, what you said a while ago, as a journey, right? I started looking at it as not what can I do. Most fitness things you read about are like 12 weeks, 12 weeks to 6-pack, or 3 months to whatever. And I started looking at it, and I heard a quote that stuck with me. I don't remember who said it. If you know, let's give them credit. I don't remember where I read it at, but it was, and I may not get it exactly right, but it was, most people severely overestimate what they can do in a year, and severely underestimate what they can do in 3. And that, I don't know why that just really hit me and stuck with me. And I thought, I keep looking at 12 weeks, 6 months, even 1 year, like a 1 year goal. Well, what if I looked at this as a 3 year, 4 year goal, and instead I'm just going to slowly do something very sustainable and chip away at this and not try to get results overnight and do it that way, and just kind of put it out of my head that I'm going to get these fast results.
Yeah,
make it a lifelong journey.
That's it, dude.
And so when I started doing that, I didn't see fast results. Nobody, and I was kind of embarrassed to even tell anybody like, hey, I'm gonna try to lose some weight, because I felt like they would kind of almost laugh at me like, oh, we've heard that before, right? You're on a diet, shocking. So I didn't even tell anybody. And probably 3 or 4 months went by of just slowly losing a pound every week, every other week, 30 pounds down. Then people start going, hey, are you losing weight? And, inside you want to go, yeah, I've been losing weight for 4 months. Thanks for noticing.
Right,
it's
right.
30, 40 pounds down. But
Gosh.
that's that slow, steady, just steady focus, being
steady
slow,
focus.
slow
That's
and
it,
steady, and making it some lifestyle changes and making it sustainable, something that you can live with.
True.
Everything I've seen, all the research out there is showing more and more that we don't have as a culture, we don't have a weight loss problem. We have a weight maintenance problem.
There it is. Say that again.
We don't have a weight loss problem. We have a weight maintenance problem. So
There it is. That is it.
Yeah. How many people do you know that have lost 30 pounds?
Everyone.
Everybody. Right?
Yes.
Including, I've done it multiple times myself. I've lost 30, 40 pounds, gained it back. 30, 40 pounds, gained it back. So we know how to lose the weight, but we never can keep it off. And that's, you said, across our culture. And there's a lot of things working against us in our culture today, right? And so it's finding something that is sustainable that I can do. And that looks different for everybody. For some people, maybe that's low carb. For some people, it's counting macros, or it's, you name it. The diets are out there. Most of them can work. But which one is doable for you? Which one can you stick to that doesn't make you miserable, that you can do day in and day out? You can do it while you're on vacation. You can stick to this while you're traveling. Yeah. That's, and that's the hard part. And then it's what's the diet after the diet? So when I hit 22, 25, what then? Like, what am I going to do next? If I just go right back to my previous habits, well, boy, my body's primed to put all that right back on, in a matter of months.
What do you say? Ryan Graves is going to be watching this in a year, right? Right now, I believe you're in let's say a peak type of a condition, like you're on the path. Sure. Everything's fluid. Now, what do you say if in a year maybe you're having a hard time? Maybe you're thinking about getting off the path. What would you say to Ryan 1 year from now?
I would say, Ryan, it's good to see you, first of all. I would say, listen, son, get it together. You know this. Anybody can be awesome every once in a while. Anybody can be awesome sometimes. It takes an exceptional person to always be awesome. It takes an exceptional person to stick to your guns, stick to your principles, and do that consistently. And so if you're not being consistent right now, get back to being consistent. You'll be glad you did. That's what I would say.
Be glad you did. Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Well, hey, there you go, guys. Welcome to Ryan and Simeon's weekly. This is what it is. This is what we talk about. Okay, let's get into Brazilian Jiu-jitsu. Well, I mean, how'd you get into this? You've been doing it for a while.
Yeah. For anybody that knows anything about jiu-jitsu and you hear how long I've been doing it, you're like, he's just a blue belt. So, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I've been a big fan of it and interested in it since, like many people, UFC 1. So UFC 1 is way back in the day when Royce Gracie went in and took on these big killers in a cage, and nobody expected this really small, non-threatening looking guy to beat everyone, and he did. And it was the Gracie family is who kind of put this on to prove Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was amazing. And I remember sitting in we rented the first UFC 1 from Blockbuster, so that tells you back in the day there. And I remember sitting on my grandpa's living room floor watching that as I was very young. I mean, I couldn't tell you, probably I was very young, and just being mesmerized by this little guy doing this. And but at the time the world really didn't know about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There was nowhere in America really to train. California there was a few spots, but I was just mesmerized by it. Well, fast forward a few years, probably 10 years later, I'm in college and nursing school, and a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu studio academy, whatever you want to call it, opened up in the town I was living in, Victoria, Texas. And so I was like, signed up immediately. I'm interested in this. And man, after my first class, I just fell in love with it, kind of got obsessed with it. I have a little bit of an obsessive personality. And so got obsessed with that and just loved it. Started kind of doing some tournament stuff. And it wasn't long after that I moved to Wichita Falls. And so I've been involved in jiu-jitsu a long time. I've only trained in it for, actively trained in it for a few years. So I'd done about a year of training in South Texas. Fast forward to a year and a half, 2 years ago, Chris opened up, Christopher Lee, and his wife, Marcy Lee, opened up a jiu-jitsu school in Owl Park. So shout out to those guys, Fighting Hawks Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah. It's under Red River BJJ out of Wichita Falls. It's maybe a sister school, you would call it. Christopher Lee and his wife, Marcy, awesome people, opened up a school. So it was that was a dream for me, to have a local school. And so immediately when I heard about it, I went over and checked them out. They were the real deal. And so I've been back active for, about a year and a half, I guess, something like that. And I love it. I love it. So I've got a lot of other stuff going in life. I don't get to train nearly as much as I like, but I feel like consistency trumps perfection, right? Okay. So I could say, well, I just can't train as much as I want, so I'm just not going to do it. Or I could say I'm going to get in there one day a week and learn everything I can one day a week. And so I've made up my mind. I get in there one day a week, regardless of what else is going on, and slowly, consistently chipping away at getting better and learning. It's a ton of fun. If anybody out there that's never done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or think you might be interested in it, I would encourage you to take the plunge and just try it out. It's
I'm scared.
So
I am.
I mean, it's so fun. So there's so many things we could do a whole podcast on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or BJJ, but it's just there's a whole host of reasons. I know it's made me a better person. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has definitely made me a better person, and it's kind of weird. I say this to people that are interested in getting their kids in it. I tell them, like, look, if your kid's a bully, he needs Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And if your kid's getting bullied, he needs Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because if he's the bully, he's going to get in there and he's going to get humbled real quick. And he's going to realize he's not as tough as he thinks he is. And he's going to learn respect for others. And he's going to learn to help others, or he's going to suffer. And same thing, if your kid's getting bullied, he's going to get in there and learn how to not be afraid. And so there's that component of it as well, the camaraderie. It's so crazy how you can build such close connections with people in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, I bet,
because you're in your personal space.
I mean, it's right there. You can take somebody that's a total stranger, and after an hour class, you're like, close friends with them. I mean, there's guys that I trained with a decade ago that I haven't talked to since then, but I could call them up today, and they would remember me, and we would be able to talk like we were friends, just because you build that camaraderie really quickly. So there's that.
What is success? How do you define that? What does it mean to you?
In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or just in general?
Just in general. In general. In life. Yeah. In your life.
Wow. I would say success for me in life would be being exactly in the will of God, whatever God wants, which when you get into specifics, I don't always know the specific will of God, but in general, I can tell you in general what he wants. If you're in the will of God, so there's certain things. God loves people, right? He loves people. And if I love him, then I love what he loves. So success is loving people, being in love with God, loving people, being there for other people, serving other people, living an others-focused life versus a self-focused life, leaving your mark, making a difference. I guess that would be, that's a bunch of words to say what I think success is, but I think that's it, would be doing what God wants you to do, which is loving him, loving other people, and being there for other people, whether that's going.
So let me ask you this. there's a person out there that's listening. They have desire to be a success, but they can't put together, or they're unwilling to put together these chain of consistent actions to get there.
Sure.
Maybe they've lost faith in themselves, which I've been there before.
Same.
So what do you say to them?
I would say start small. And what I mean by that is, and I've been there so many times, I just, in self-reflection before I came up here, I kind of flipped through, I've done some journaling over the past few years, and I was just kind of flipping through my journal, looking at when I started a few years ago, saying, hey, I really want to, I want to be different. I want to continue to just be in a rut and do the same things over and over again. I want to be different. I want to be the best husband I can be, the best dad I can be. I want to be there for my friends and for my family, for my church. I want to be healthy, and I want to do these things. And I realized, my life's out of control. It's chaos. I can't keep up with all that I need to keep up with. And I read a book called Extreme Ownership. I've mentioned that book to you.
By Jocko Willink.
Jocko Willink, big fan of Jocko. And some of his principles in there, the biggest one is discipline equals freedom. And a concept I started hearing, not just from Jocko, but from other people, and I decided to implement that in my life, was I'm going to be disciplined in the small things. And this could look like as something as simple as, hey, maybe my finances are totally out of control. Maybe my relationship is totally messed up, and my job's not going well, whatever. But what are the things that today, I could control and do right? Okay, well, I could get up and make my bed, right? I could get up 10 minutes early, so I have a couple of minutes to maybe spend some time with God or in devotion, or just get my thoughts together. I could make my bed, brush my teeth. I could fix my hair. Well, I don't fix my hair nice, but fix my hair nice, whatever. I could eat a healthy breakfast, right? Those are things that are all very simple that I could control, that I could do. And I would start there and say, I'm gonna get up and do these simple things, and you'll be shocked when you start your day off by doing a couple simple things right, that you want to do some other things right. And then you slowly, once you've got, it's like, hey, I make my bed I know that sounds so juvenile, but I made my bed this morning, and my room looks nice and neat before I left. That's one thing that I could say I did today that showed some discipline. And then you just build on that.
It's
build
the
on
small, incredible, consistent, repeated actions.
That's
James Clear talks about in his book, Atomic Habits. And just the small adjustments, the small changes consistently over time equate to massive results.
That's it.
But there's that little monster inside of me that's screaming, even when I know that's the truth.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you are where you are, I'm like, I know the steps, accept where I am, acknowledge, what do I want, but then there's a part of me that's like, wow, part of my brain is saying, okay, this is reality. This is what you do. The other part is like the Tasmanian devil flipping out, being like, I want that result right now, and you don't have it now, so you're less than XYZ because you don't have it, and bah! And then it's just like, well, I'm just going to shut down.
Yeah.
So what do you do when that happens?
Well, one, it's great to have people that you can talk to, right? So that's a huge thing, is having the support system, having somebody that can go, listen, son, get it together.
Right. Like, slap them in the face.
Tough love,
like,
right?
Come on.
I think that comes back to motivation versus discipline. Motivation is so fickle, man. You can be super motivated one day and have no motivation the next day. And if we're relying on motivation, or relying on thoughts and emotion, we'll be a hot mess. You'll never get anything done if I'm run by my emotions. If I'm run because emotions are fickle, man. Emotions change moment to moment, much less day to day, right? So that's where you have to have, you have to have discipline. I'm okay. I love motivation. I love it when I am motivated. That's great. I'm going to ride that motivation wave. But there's just as many moments where I'm not motivated. And that's where I have to go, okay, you're not motivated. You don't want to do it. Your mind is telling you all these other things. This is where you have to have your discipline to do the right thing regardless. Just do the next right thing. When I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what to do. Well, what's the next right thing? Well, I don't know how I'm going to eat healthy all day today, or I don't have the budget to do this, or I don't know how I'm going to handle this meeting at work. And it's 6 a.m. Well, what's the next right thing? Well, the next right thing is I'm gonna try to eat a healthy breakfast. Yeah, I'm using a healthy breakfast as one example of 1,000. Right. I'm gonna be kind to my family this morning.
Yeah.
Right.
Or I'm in the middle of blowing up on my wife or girlfriend or son or coworker. The next right thing is take a breath.
Yeah.
Or beating ourselves down. I love that. The next right thing.
Yeah. What's the next right thing? Take that next step. And because this, man, life is it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? And I keep going Bible here. That's part of
that's what I love, dude, for reals, because a lot of us listening out there, myself included, we have absorbed a lot of information from people like Jocko or Joe Rogan or Chase Jarvis or Tim Ferriss or Gary Vee, or a lot of these major people who are examining the human nature, the human personality, conflicts, and then coming to epiphanies and realizations about mankind. But I love that you are so knowledgeable and rooted in the Bible.
Yeah.
And so you can compare it like, oh, well,
yeah,
God talked, you know.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I see so many people today coming to the same realizations through a totally different method that are biblical truths that have been there for a long, long time. One of the ones I laugh at a lot is fasting. Like fasting's become a huge fad in today's fitness world. Well, fasting's biblical. It's in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says, when you fast. He didn't say if. He tells his people it's a part of being a Christian is you should fast. And so now we're seeing nowadays people are talking about, fasting. I could take two of the guys you named, Joe Rogan, huge into fasting, Jocko, huge into fasting. Yeah. It's a biblical thing. But they're coming at it from a totally different perspective, but they're going, it makes me feel good. When I fast, I feel good. Meditation's a huge thing in the world today, right? It's a huge thing. Everybody from whether believe or not believe or whatever, they're going, man, you got to meditate. If you're not meditating, you're missing out. Well, meditation is a form of prayer. I believe in prayer over meditation. I'll say that. But basically, it's what they're doing.
They're focusing their mind on
something, right? They're taking a moment. And I was actually laughing. I think it might have been Joe. It was a famous person. It might have maybe Joe Rogan. Somebody said, "Hey, what does your meditation look like?" And if you know anything about Joe Rogan, he's not a Christian, not a believer. I think this was him, but he goes, "Well, I sit down and I clear my mind, and then I just start thinking of all the things I'm thankful for." Right. And I'm laughing. I'm like, "Dude, you're praying. You're praying. You're trying to, And he doesn't believe in God, but he's trying to replace that. He's trying to find ways, in my opinion, trying to find ways to replace that. And I'm like, man, it's right there in front of you. All these things that you're doing they're in the Bible. And so I mean it's cool and maybe maddening. I don't know. People are coming to these realizations through a whole nother means. When I'm like, hey, the keys to fulfillment, happiness, joy, all that stuff, man, it's there in the Bible. And we can try to make up other ways around it, but we got the instruction manual right in front of us. And I'll be the first to tell you I've strayed from that instruction manual many times, but I get back to the roots in there, those timeless principles. Man, you want to find fulfillment and joy, and that was the point I was going to make earlier about. It's not a sprint. It's this life is not a sprint. All throughout the Bible, I couldn't even quote all the scriptures, but so many times through the Bible you hear, and so walked with God. It never said they ran with God. They walked with God. They just kept putting one foot in front of the other, doing the next right thing. So it's a walk. It's and when you think about like a walk with God, that doesn't sound very exciting. Doesn't sound very fun, but it's pretty hard to sprint across the country. You can't, but people have walked across the country. You can do that if you just keep doing the next right thing, the next little step, controlling what's in your sphere of control. And here's the thing, if you,
Yes.
and this is another biblical principle here, but if you take care of what you can, right? If you'll do what you can with what you've got, then that'll grow. That sphere of influence will absolutely grow. So maybe my sphere of influence right now, maybe at a minimum, all I could do is make my bed and be nice to my family. I'm sure your influence, everybody out there is greater than that, but maybe that's all I could do. But if I'll do those two things really well, that sphere of influence will absolutely grow. And if I'm on my job and it's like, man, I can't control anything here, and you know, people love to hate on their job or hate on their boss or whatever it is. Like, well, take ownership of everything that you can and do your best with everything that you can do. And your sphere of influence in your job will absolutely grow to where you can start to make some better changes, make the changes you want to see, versus, you know, griping about them. So that applies to your job, health, family, whatever it is. It's all applicable.
Ownership.
I did for a while. I don't post much on Instagram anymore, but for a while I was trying to kind of post regularly, and my thing every day was I would say something about exercise or fitness or whatever, and then I would put underneath it not just talking about exercise, because I think, you know, it all parallels, to the spiritual, to the physical, to life in general, you know, for sure.
Hey man, it makes me think about, you know, there's some people, when they hear the word God, potentially they just shut down.
Sure.
They don't want to hear it. But man, it's like, even like reading the NA book, you know, one of the first couple of steps is turn your will over to a higher power, you know, and what your definition of God may be, or your vision or mine may be different for someone else, but there's great power in acknowledging there is a higher source of power. So,
And most what I see in our my belief, obviously, you know this, anybody out there that knows me knows this, my belief is that, you know, in Jesus Christ is one God, right? That's what I believe. But what I see in kind of, you know, general secular society is most people aren't, nowadays that I talk to, aren't atheists, where they say there is no God. Most people in today's society are saying, yeah, there's something, right? There's something out there, and because it's hard to deny, right, that there is a higher power, and a lot of people, and many of them, unfortunately, for good reason, have been hurt by somebody in the name of Christianity, or they've seen terrible things done. They've seen people be hypocritical and not be real, and all these things, and I get all that. But I think most people now, not everybody, I don't want to speak overgeneralized, but most people that I know will say, hey, there's something, there is a higher power, you know, and it's in our DNA to believe that. I mean, it's in our DNA to know there's something. It's up to us to decide what we believe, and then follow that. And I, you know, as I said, I believe, you know, it's Jesus, and he's looking out for me.
Amen.
For sure.
So, what's some of your goals that you've got going outside of? We know you've got your physical weight goal. What are some of your other goals you have right now?
Yeah, so that's a great question, man. There's a point I wanted to try to make is we've talked a good bit about, you know, like fitness, weight loss, etc. But that, how do I say this? If that is my life's purpose, is to lose weight, that's a pretty sad existence.
Right, there you go. Right? My goal is to lose 20 pounds and then I'm done.
That's a sad existence, right? That's not.
Wow.
I mean,
that's true, dude.
If the highlight of my day is to go lift weights, that's not a life I want to live. I want to park on that for a second. Simeon, how much of your life have you devoted to obsessing over your weight? I mean, really. Preach, man.
How much of your life have you? I would say a lot. How much have you beat yourself down over it, wasted such incredible energy over it, and then that's a great point you just made. Like, is that it? Is my goal in life to lose 10, 20 pounds. Is that your ultimate goal in life? No. Well, why in the world are you focusing all this energy 100 million% on that? What if you took all that energy and you focused it on?
Yeah.
Great. Dude, I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah. That was something I kind of had to, I've tried to lose weight before and never done it successfully long term in the past. And I've gone about it a totally different way. And part of it was the motivation behind it. And that's kind of what I'll maybe get at here is I kind of had this realization is like, is my goal to be the best person at working out? Because again, that's a terrible, like what does that do? Make me feel good in the gym for a few minutes because somebody sees me bench press or deadlift X amount of weight. Is it to be the best at jiu-jitsu? Is that my goal? And no, those things are all means to an end. They serve something else, right? Jiu-jitsu, I love it. It's a fun sport, but it serves my overall goal of being better. Lifting weights, exercising, CrossFit, losing weight, all that serves the ultimate goal of being better. And so when I started this in 2017, I sat down. I in 2017 when I said, okay, I'm 300 pounds. I'm sick. I got put in the hospital at the end of 2016. I got so sick. I got put in the hospital at one point, and life was just out of control and it was ridiculous. And I was like, all right, I got to change. You're a slob. You got to do something here. Negative self-talk, all that stuff. I said, I sat down and I got a journal and I said, I'm going to write down what is the most important things in life to me. Because what I realized is I was going all over the place. I was working really hard. I was definitely not being lazy. I was working more hours than I'd ever worked, both at church. There was a lot of amazing things going on through my church. Shout out to Grace Church, by the way, gracechurchip.com.
There you go. Yeah.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Love, these are amazing people. gracechurchip.com, also on Facebook. We had amazing stuff going on in our church. And I had just got promoted at work. Working at a great organization for a great leader, and had actually been asked to take over a second department as an interim director, and my life was out of control. I had a brand new kid. I had just had my first kid, and it was like I'm working myself to death, and I'm not producing any of the things I want to produce. I'm not getting any of the results I want to get, and I had this concept, somebody told me, is that busyness doesn't equal productiveness. And that kind of hit me like a ton of bricks of like, hey, just being really busy and working hard does nothing for you if it's not producing what you want it to produce in your life, right? So I had to really sit down and go, what's important to me? What matters to me? What is my priorities here? And this took me a long time. I had to really sit there and write these things out. And I scratched them and rewrote them several times and got them in order. And I can tell you to this day that order. And it started with, and in some of these you kind of may go, that sounds off, but I'll walk you. I'll say what the order is, and then I'll tell you why they ended up in that order. But number one on that list, as I sat down and worked through it, number one was relationship with God. Right, number one. That's got to be priority number one for me. And you're like, well, Ryan, you're married, you have kids. Why wouldn't your kids and your wife be number one? The answer to that is, for me, is a very resounding no. And it's because if I'm going to be the best husband that I can be, it got to start with me being right with God. With this guy being right, having my heart right, having my mind right. And if my mind's not right, if I don't, the Bible says to love your wife like God loves his people. Right? So I've got to have my relationship right with him. Then I'm going to be able to love my wife the way she's supposed to be loved, right? And be there for her. Same thing for my kids. If I'm going to be the dad that I'm supposed to be, I've got to look to him as my example, right? As my belief. And so I've got to have, first and foremost, that relationship with God has got to be right. And at the time, I can tell you, when I started writing this list down, I was like, man, my relationship with God, I'm going to church and I'm not necessarily doing anything I shouldn't be doing. I'm checking the boxes, but my relationship isn't there because I'm so busy. I'm not spending time in devotion, prayer, in the Word. And so then I moved on to number two. Number two was my wife. I got to be right with my wife, and I've got to have that's my second priority in life, is to be right with her and have a good relationship. And that comes before the kids, because for the kids to have optimal parents, for me to be an optimal dad, I got to be right with my wife, right? So I got to be right with God. Then me and my wife got to be on the same page. I got to be a good husband, a loving husband, and then I can be a good dad. And so that was priority number 3, was kids. Priority number 4, so I've got to take care of my kids. And then priority number 4, once all those things are taken care of, if I'm right with God, I'm right with my wife, I'm being the dad I'm supposed to be, I'm being the husband I'm supposed to be, then I want to be there for others, for my church, right? Do the work that God wants done. It's really easy. And what I had done in my life is I had replaced work for God, work for good things, right? Working for good things with a relationship with God, right? And that's really easy to do. If you're not careful, you can replace doing good things, serving others, whatever, but replace that with, so once I've got all those in order, then my focus is other people, right? My church family, ministering to people, helping people, loving other people, not at the cost of my family or my relationship with God, right? Then it's others. Then after that, so 5th on the list now would be my secular job, my work at the hospital. I had to get that in order. And then when I got that in order, if these are the things that matter most to me, these are the things I realized the top 3 on there were getting so little of my time, right? The top 3 on there were getting so little of my time. And then the next thing was, I can't do any of this stuff without being healthy. When I looked at that, I'm like, hey, I can't do any of the things I need to do on this list if I'm sick, and if I'm overweight, or if I'm not being healthy. And so I kind of did the big rocks, little rocks.
Yeah.
In my mind is
that's so important.
I'm spending all this time every day with all the busyness that I'm not getting to the things that matter to me the most. And when that clicked for me, that the things that matter to me the most, I've got to put them first, and I've got to be healthy to do them. That became my motivation, that I don't care what it is, I've got to figure it. I've got to figure this, diet thing. I've got to figure exercise out, whatever. And for me, the trick was, I went into this kicking and screaming, but the game changer for me was early mornings. Get up early, get some physical work in. Yeah. Get some spiritual work in, right? Get both of those things taken care of. And I find if you can start the day like that, man, your day is it's a different kind of day, right? You win the day.
You touched on big rocks, little rocks, just in case anybody doesn't understand that or know what that term is, but that's about looking at your schedule of your life. And the big rocks represent the things that are most important to you. There's not a whole lot of them that truly matter. Putting those into your schedule. And then the little rocks are like all those little small things that just pop up that will take over our attention, right, if we don't make time if we don't protect and keep those little rocks out. So you put the big rocks first into the jar, and then you can put all the little rocks around them. Yeah. Otherwise, if you try and put the little rocks in the jar first, you can't fit the big rocks in there. There's no room. So I just spent... really, it was kind of brainstorming and sitting on it for the good part of a week, and then I really laid it out over the weekend, but just really looked at my schedule, because I've got things I want to accomplish, and there's a lot on there, and the only way I'm going to be able to get it done is if I'm organized with it. Yeah. And so I'd spend the weekend laying it out, put my big rocks down, and then and it involves waking up early, 4:30, and that works for me. So,
Matt, that was motivational to me to see that. I loved how you did that. I think you're actually sending me that template, because I was like, I saw that. I said, man, that's good. I really like that, because it's real easy to kind of slowly veer off of that and realize over time you're letting some little rocks take over. A little bit of laziness creeps in here, a little, and you realize, man, I gotta get back on that. Yes. on that path.
And it for me. Okay, I'll put a link on the website. You guys can check it out. So it would be steadyfocused.com/83. /83. And all the stuff that Ryan and I have talked about will be on there, and I'll put a link to this template. But it helps me because not only am I looking at the 8 to 5 that's taken up by the day job, but it's zoomed out even more, and it goes from 4:30 till 11 every day. And there's like, whoa, there's a lot of time in here that if I don't do something with this and make it meaningful, it's going to get filled with crap.
Man, that's such a good phrase. It will get filled. You know, your time controls you, or you control your time. You've got to take control of that and go, hey, we love to say, so this is one of the things me and you talk about. Excuses are lies we tell ourselves to feel better. Right? That statement hurts me every time. When I heard that statement, it was when I was making a bunch of excuses about why I didn't have time to work out, why I didn't have time to pray, why I wasn't being there enough for my family. And I had all these excuses. They were pathetic. You know, it's like, there's just not enough time, and, you know, I'm too tired, blah, blah, blah. And then when I heard that phrase, excuses are just lies you tell yourself to feel better, you know, rationalization, I started thinking about, do I really not have time? And I started looking at time where I was wasting in other places, whether that was sleep. Which I'm not saying sleeping is wasted time. You need to sleep, obviously. But you probably don't need to sleep quite as much as you are sleeping. That's a generalization. I didn't need to. I'm able to function great with less sleep than I was sleeping before. I get better sleep now, I'll tell you that. I get better sleep, but, you know, taking control of that, looking at how many hours there actually are in the day, and you have the time. Saying you don't have the time, that's a lie. If you're telling yourself that, if you're out there telling yourself you don't have the time, you are lying to yourself. Tough love. You're lying to yourself. I was lying to myself. You have time. You got to make the time. You got to find the time. You will make time for what's important and what matters.
Exactly. There it is. Cool. Ryan, final thoughts, man. It's been a great talk. And again, guys, we do this pretty much several times a week. But I've been wanting Ryan to come on so we could record it and kind of let you guys get a vibe of, you know, it's usually a really good talk. So I know we'll have you back on the show for sure. But final thoughts?
Man, I'm just honored to be here, man. Honored to be here, and honored to get to hang out with you. And one of our doctors said something one time that stuck in my mind. He said, you attract the kind of people you are, you know? So I think it was no accident me and you linked up and got to be friends, and I have a lot in common. You bring a lot of value to my life. So
likewise,
a lot of motivation. I love following your channel, following what you're doing, and I know you got bright future ahead, man. So I'm just excited to be a part of it, and happy to come on anytime, man.
All right. If people want to reach out to you, how can they find you?
So I'm on Facebook. I'm not on social media a lot, but if you want to reach out, I'll get it eventually. Is Facebook. I think it's for my first name is Kendall. I think it's Kendall Ryan Graves on Facebook, or Kendall R Graves maybe. And then Instagram, it's KR Graves. So I do. If I get online more, it'll be on Instagram, and I'll every once in a while, if I get something motivational, I'll try to post on Instagram. I don't post a ton there though, but any of those places. Of course, you can come to Grace Church. I'll be there every Sunday at 11 and Wednesday at 7:30. Be at Grace Church, and that's a good place to find me too.
Cool.
On that website as well.
And we'll put links to how you guys can get in touch with Ryan if you want to reach out to him.
Love to hear from anybody.
Yeah,
if I can help, I'm there.
Yeah, and this is it. He does this. This is all the time. So, guys, what was your favorite part of the discussion? I would love to know about it. Hit us up, comment. You know, let us know what was impactful for you, and we can continue that discussion deeper and go further. Because what's the best way to learn, to teach, learn? It goes back and forth. So, definitely want to hear from you guys. So you guys want to check out any of the show notes, steadyfocused.com/83. You can pick all that up. While you're there, pick up a shirt, hat, you know, any of that good stuff, because that helps us keep doing this. Again, we're going to be rolling out a lot of cool stuff. It's going to happen. This is going to be a live thing. I haven't clicked it, haven't made it all work, but we're going to get that camera and these microphones tied into some sort of a computer.
Nice.
And then we're going to live be talking with people. It's going to happen. It just hasn't happened yet. So there you go, guys. Let us know any questions you have. Until next time, I'm your host. I'm your number one, Mr. SimeonHendrix. And this is Steady Focused. Cool, man.
Thanks, man.
We did it.
Good times.
And we were recording the whole time. So that's always a good thing. Yeah.